Coming up on this episode of The Power of Real Estate.
How much do you want to achieve? Because not everybody wants to be the top selling salesperson.
She spent over 20 years as a successful realtor and realtor coach, recipient of over 40 sales, leadership, and literary awards from the legendary Music Row in Nashville. This is The Power of Real Estate with Michelle Moore.
Hello. All right, everybody, we got a good show planned for you today. Producer Jimmy's in the house as well.
Yo. What up, fools?
Oh, my goodness. Just in case you can't tell, we entertain ourselves, if anything.
That's my rap persona, in case you're wondering.
For middle-aged white boy.
DJ Cheese Whiz.
Oh, good Lord. All right, so today's show, we're going to be talking about, are you tracking the right things? You might be surprised. Okay, so I'm tracking how much money I made this year or last month or this month, maybe the number of closings, the number of listings I've got. But is that the right stuff? Are those the right things to be tracking? And my answer is
You should be tracking Santa.
Santa. All right, so here's the thing. That's really not what you're supposed to be tracking. Those things are called lagging indicators. Okay, so these are the things that, we do tend to track those things. And yes, those are important, but those really aren't the ones that we're supposed to be tracking. We need to be tracking what are called leading indicators. So let me give you some examples of leading indicators. What are the number of calls that you've made just yesterday? How many calls did you make? Let's say just to your sphere of influence, okay? People that you've helped buy, sell, build, or invest in homes, your next door neighbors, whatever it is, friends, family, your sphere of influence, your SOI. So how many calls did you make yesterday? Or even today, how many have you done today? How many have you done last week, or did you do last week, and then how many did you do last month? Do you know those numbers? Those are your leading indicators. What about the number of coffee appointments that you've had with those people? Maybe some people that are good referral resources for you, whether that be a mortgage lender or an insurance agent, something like that. And then also listing presentations. How many listing presentations have you done this month? So what about the number of buyer presentations that you've done? Because, the buyer presentations that you have, those buyer meetings that go over, especially like with the first-time home buyer, that go over the buying process and what that might look like, how many of those have you done in the last 30 days versus how many buyers are you actually working with and helping? And so that is what is called a leading indicator. Those are going to be some things that will help you. I would even say, we did a show about send out cards. How many cards have you sent out? How many cards have you sent out with your business cards? How many calls have you made? And then those follow-up cards that you send out saying, it was great to speak with you on the phone. I enjoyed it. So glad Sally is loving her new job. And little Joey is, enjoying second grade and off to a great start. It was so great catching up. Be sure to give me a call if there's ever anything I can do to help you with your real estate needs. Include a couple of your business cards in the card. How many of those have you sent out in the last 30 days? Ooh, that's going to be important because those are the things that you need to track that will absolutely lead you to success. So I hope that makes sense. So you want to track your leading indicators, not your lagging indicators. But most people, if they track anything, okay, they're going to track the lagging indicators. And I say if they track anything, and this is why. I had a sales manager that I coach, and I asked her, I said, how much money have you made? It's June. We're coming up at the halfway point of the year. How much money have you made so far this year? She couldn't tell me. And so she has two parts to her business. She has the resale business because she is also selling. She's a selling sales manager of a independent brokerage. And she couldn't share that number. She didn't know. And then I said, okay, well, how much have you made from your sales management position? She didn't know. She had no idea. And so that was some of her homework for that week, was to gather that. And look, not picking on anybody because that is the norm. I knew she wasn't going to know when I asked her, because 99% of the people that I talk with don't have those systems in place to be able to track that. And so, but those are going to be your lagging indicators. I just needed to know where she was for the year, because I already knew that the leading indicators weren't in place to be tracked yet. And that was part of her coaching, is to get that up and running, right? And so, but we needed to get some systems in place. And so, all very important. I hope this helps you to take a step back and say, okay, what am I tracking? What am I looking at? And am I doing the right things? Because you know what? Sometimes we track the wrong things. In fact, most of the time, if we track, it's the wrong stuff. And hey, by the way, if you're tracking anything, you're really in the top 1%, because most people, like I said, 99% of agents are not tracking, which is insanity, right? When I was selling 100 homes in a year, I could tell you any day of the week you could call me, and I actually had a binder, a little binder, and I would carry that around with me wherever my purse was located. I would find the binder. I remember many times I would say, well, where's my purse? Because I need to look at my spreadsheet, or I need to look at my goals, or I need to look at a plat map of this or that. I always knew wherever my purse was, that's where my binder was. And I tracked everything by month. And I knew exactly what I was doing and what my goals were. But you've got to track. And I tracked the lagging indicators. I tracked the sales. And so, but you need to be tracking the leading indicators. I didn't have a me in my life doing a podcast teaching me these things. And so you got to have those things, so that way you can. And I was doing those things, but I didn't know to track them.
So how do you determine how many calls or how many cards to send out? Or, I mean, I know the more you do, obviously, the more results you'll get. But, I mean, at some point, you can't spend all day making calls.
Yeah, and it's so funny, too, because, you know, I was with a company. I went in out of state. I went to a company a general real estate company, and was teaching their sales team about this recently and doing some goal setting. And it was interesting because I remember one person said, well, I don't leave my office until, you know, my team and I have talked to at least 200 agents. I've got some agents in the same room that said, well, I'm going to focus on high value contacts, and I'll do 15 in the month of September. So you have every in between, right? And so here's what the point is, though, to answer that is, it's kind of like, well, how much do you want to achieve? Because not everybody wants to be the top selling salesperson. When I was running Keller Williams Nashville, I remember when an agent would come into my office and I would say, well, what can I help you do? You know, what can I do to help you meet your goals? Because, and I worded it that way specifically because everybody has different goals. It wasn't, well, what can I do to help you, you know, be the top salesperson in Nashville? Or what can I do to help you be the top salesperson in this office? Because not everybody's striving for that, right? So I remember specifically, I had a lady who had twins, and she said to me early on, you know, I just need to make $60,000 a year. If I can make $60,000, I think it was 40 or 60. She was like, you know, then I can be at home with my kids, and I can do this and I can do that. I just want to be able to pick my kids up and take them to their sporting events, and you know, pick them up from school, take them to school, and you know, if I can make $60,000 a year working part time, I'm aces. I'm great.
Me and her both.
So, right, and so, but that's what she wanted, and so, but then I had some people were like, you know, $60,000 was what they wanted to make in the first quarter. And so of the year. So you just have to, and they wanted to rule Nashville, and they wanted to do this and take on that. And so that was all good. Everybody has different goals. And so in order to be able to, you know, I mean, I would say do what you can do, though. Make some goals. We've talked about SMART goals before. You got to be specific. They need to be measurable. They need to be achievable. You know, if you can't write the thank you notes but need some help with that, then that might be something somebody else could help you with. I used to have somebody write my thank you notes for me. But whatever that looks like, whatever you want to achieve, a lot of times, yeah, if you want to make more, you want to do more, you got to do something you've never done before, which is probably write more cards than you've ever written before, and be top of mind and touch people in a meaningful way. And so it's all about where you want to be. But great question, though, Jimmy. That's a great question. And so, and if you're not getting the results that you want, then do more of that. If it's giving you, if it's yielding the results but not enough, then do more of what is giving you the results, right? So that way you get even more. I hope this helps, and we'll see you next time on The Power of Real Estate with Michelle Moore.
Realtors, if you're ready for the latest tools, scripts, and techniques, visit realestatecoachingsimplified.com. We'll see you next time on The Power of Real Estate with Michelle Moore.